is to keep Zoran in line.
Good morning.
How you been, my friend? Good, how are you? Great. Good to see you.
He loves that. He lives for that ball.
Yeah.
It's like a romance,
This
good
is not
fighting.
horrible.
You did remember that, didn't you?
I did.
I didn't shock
I should have
you.
been more mentally ready, but yeah.
She give me two, she gave me two
All right.
because mine's the other one. We'll share.
You can get home something?
No?
You should.
Oh,
Only one blank space today.
my grab one.
Very, very proud of most of you. All right. What number do you guys want?
5.
Zoran's not telling me.
5.
All right. It's number
Phone.
13.
That's me.
Hello.
Let's go.
Hi.
Good,
Must be present.
Sheila.
Sheila? No, she's not here. Okay.
She was just here.
Next
I
one.
think
I'm
confused
told.
with Shala.
Maybe I'm told. No, it's not Shara. No,
Okay,
it's not Shara.
Is Sheila?
Where'd she go?
Sheila?
no problem, thank you.
Don't got her.
Give me the next one.
Alright,
Oh, right, she was here.
Oh, her phone rang just as she.
Yeah, she, right there.
Lucky I don't say winner must be present. Lucky number 13. All right. Where's John? Make sure you take pictures along the way and check in, tag me, tag others. John. Come on.
I'm here. My turn.
All right. I see you all eating good food, right?
Yeah.
Who do we think? John. Thank you, John.
You're welcome. Right, we're just stuck in a rate limbo because we got a new Fed chair coming in and the old going out, and they can't agree right now, and that's where
What
we're
do you
at.
think is going to happen when the new guy comes in?
They're gonna trend down.
Yeah.
Don't expect a major drop, a drastic drop. Nobody wants that,
Yeah.
okay? So they have been coming down.
Yeah.
I mean, a year ago, the same mortgage on an FHA is probably $200 a month more. But nobody talks about that because they didn't see a massive drop in rates. But it's been coming down.
But a year ago it was low sevens.
Yeah.
Now
What
it's
is it
low
now?
sixes.
FHA, I'm getting people, we can push them into the 4s.
Wow.
FHA.
Yeah, it's not bad. We're not in a bad spot for FHA.
Yeah.
I did some forward commitments for some Utah builders up there. Builder was agreeing to 3% concessions. On a conventional, we're at 4.75%.
Wow.
So we can get there, you know, under the right circumstances. So don't let that deter your buyers. Buyers say, I don't know what the rates are high. What do you want the rate to be? Okay, and then give me a call and see what we can do to get the rate there, because we might be able to surprise them and get them off the fence and move. So
Is that FHA rate with concessions?
a little bit, not much. I mean, I think we can get into the 4s with a point and a half maybe. So on the FHA,
Wow.
so we're real close. Standard, we're about 5.25, 5.125, so 1 point will drop into the 4s. So don't let that deter you. You guys probably got this question a lot. You probably like, who the heck's Ricky? You all got
I was just going to go there.
Yeah, you all got an email.
Yeah.
He's threatening to show up. Okay, so he will be here the first and third
Who
week.
is Ricky?
Ricky is the president of Epic Lending, so he's over all of Epic, and we struggled getting some, you know, consistent bodies in here. So we're gonna work this. Ricky's gonna be here the first and third week. Mark, you probably all have met. Some of you have met. We'll be here in week 2 and 4. So we got good, quality, consistent people here for you, clients. We're all on the same team.
We don't have Edna anymore, unfortunately.
Edna went back where she came from.
Yeah. So we have John,
For sure.
we have Ricky, we have Mark, all great lenders. You know, John can get things looked
Yeah. At the end of the day, we're all on the same team. You can come to me. If Ricky's in here, you can talk to him. If Mark's in here, you can go to him. So you got a team of 3 lenders that can work your files. So
help.
All right.
All right.
Thank you.
Again, thanks for the food.
All right, bye.
Huh? Thank you.
I can't be on your camera.
Edna, I told Edna.
You can, but
Not
we'll
still.
talk later on the restrictions.
Check now.
All right. Food truck out there every Thursday from 11 to 1:30-ish. Yeah, 11 to 1:30. Pizza stoned. I don't think it means you have to, never mind. It's pizza. Is there any such thing as bad pizza?
There is no bad.
No. High school pizza was pretty bad.
I didn't go to high school yet.
Oh. All right, every Friday in February, I think we have one or two more, is wear your favorite sports team jersey. I'm talking to you.
I know, I'm hiding.
I will be wearing mine, so be there. All right, so we have some CEs coming out.
So good.
March 3rd, 11 to 2, it's on a Tuesday. And this is a free CE. Mike came in and presented here a couple of weeks ago. So that's just a small bit of what he does in his CE classes. Who likes free?
Free?
This is free CE. Free CE. You get 3 CE credits, general. So that is March 3rd, okay? On March 17th, we have our St. Patrick's Day potluck. So here's the thing on potlucks. Potluck is you bring food. You don't just bring your fork, you gotta bring some food. Trust me, I know people that do that. There's a sign-up sheet up there, or we keep it on the oil cans up front. We always have a good time, so be here with food or green beer. All right, another CE. So this is realtor safety. Dale is the instructor. Dale has been here several times, either at our sales meetings or teaching CE classes. Here's the thing with safety. It weighs very heavily on me, is the safety of all of you. And he is really, really good at teaching safety. This is a CE class. It's a 3-hour CE class that's going to take place of our business meeting that day. So it's going to start at 9:30 and run till 12:30. Unfortunately, this one is not free, but it's worth it. It's $25. However, I know how to entice you guys.
Okay.
There's going to be food. There'll be food for breakfast, and there'll be food for lunch afterwards. So breakfast and lunch will be served. It's worth twice that. It really is. Dale is really good. A little rough around the edges, but I think that's what's necessary to get you get you guys educated on safety. So be here. That is March 19th. Will you be here?
I'm not sure. I might be in California. If I'm in Vegas, I'll be there, but I might be in California.
I might declare it be nice to Zoran Day.
Okay.
Don't leave if you're not here, he said.
All right, blood drive. March 30th, 10 to 4, right in this room. The flyers are out there. Scan the QR code to sign up. I'm already signed up. I think I'm the first one in at 10 a.m. March 30th. So be here for that. It's a real need out there right now. I get emails and text messages from the American Red Cross all the time. They want my blood. So I give it to them every quarter when we do this. May 1st, our one day is not on May 1st this year because I won't be here. So we have moved it to the 4th, and we're volunteering at 3 Square. Who has volunteered at 3 Square before? It's awesome. It really is. And what are we gonna be doing?
We're gonna be packing lunches.
We're gonna be packing lunches. So, you know, we've done other things before. We've cleaned crates, and that was no fun. But packing lunches is fun and it's rewarding. So, we have just a small handful of spots left. So if you're interested, you know, sign up. Who has signed up so far? Good. All right, let's talk some stats. Active listings have gone up a little bit. They're 9,019. Last week they're 8,920, so gone up about 100 or so. Of those, 6,307 are single family. Last week was 6,261. Under contracts, 3,000. This time last week was 2,859. So the sales are increasing as well. And month inventory has remained the same at 5 months. What are you guys seeing out there?
Activities picking up.
Activities picking up? What, you say activities picking up and you say it's slow.
Showing activities picked up on my listing and it's a turd.
Yeah, it's a turd. I won't tell you
It's got
seller
great
who said that.
potential. It's got potential. Oh, they know.
Turd with great potential.
Great
Yeah,
potential.
buyers are back.
Buyers are back.
Yeah.
Why do you think that is?
Well, they call me and process to reapprove them and yeah.
Yeah, interest rates are down. They're down a full % of where they were just a year ago.
And I
So,
expect lots of activity very soon.
what's that?
They're doing their taxes, they're getting some money back.
They're doing their taxes, getting some money, so now's the time things are going to start picking up. That's seasonal.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right, cool.
Okay.
How
we doing?
Is that your new Ant-Man?
What? Ant-Man?
Yeah, we'll call you Ant-Man.
Yeah, small but mighty. Yes. No. Good morning, everyone. Just want to keep it short for you guys. Wanted to go ahead and give you guys another announcement. We are starting up the Buffini trainings, so we're going to be sending out the links today. Definitely keep your guys' eye out for that because we're starting up the Green Valley one on Wednesday of next week, so we'll probably start here within the next week or 2 weeks. So definitely keep your eyes out for that. Register if you'd like. 100 Days of Greatness is going to be a great topic for you guys to learn from. Brian Buffini is one of the top real estate coaches out there, right? And he really focuses on your guys' sphere, helping you guys grow those relationships. So those are long-lasting relationships.
You take 100 Days to Greatness and you'll come out the other side with transactions.
Yes, 100%. So this is going to really help you expand your sphere. So you guys are really getting those referrals from your clients, and you're having those consistent clients that are constantly reaching out to you guys, asking you guys for updates, and deeming you as the local real estate expert, which is exactly what you guys want to have, so you guys can keep pumping deals and rock the rest of 2026. In addition to that,
I see what you did there.
But in addition to that, we also have some different CE classes upcoming. So I know we're doing one down in Green Valley. We're gonna get one up here going here soon. So I'll keep your eye out for that. I'll send an announcement for you guys as well. If you guys need to get those credits in, we'll be here to help you guys out with that. But in addition to that, I'll be here the rest of the day. I'm gonna be in and out of meetings, but I'm here every Wednesday and Thursday. You guys can feel free to stop in anytime, or if you guys would like to schedule a marketing meeting where I can help you guys out, really expand your business, go over some different strategies that you guys are looking to be covered, and start implementing into your business. So don't hesitate to reach out. We truly appreciate all your guys' business and support. And if there's anything you need from either myself or the escrow team, don't hesitate to reach out. Thank you guys.
Thank you.
All right, and the real reason why you're here is hear all about 1031s. So welcome, Sarah.
Thank you so much. Thank you. Good morning, everybody.
Morning.
Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. I was just worried about the tag. It's my only concern. Good morning, everybody. Thank you so much for having me. I appreciate it. We should be right there. So, thank you so much for having me, thank you for being here. Yay, you're amazing, high five. You know, I feel like I'm 2 steps ahead when the technology works
Yeah,
nowadays.
yeah.
Literally, I always joke about that because every office is different, you guys, so it's kind of going in and so having some challenges there sometimes. So, hi, my name's Sara Remley. I'm our account executive here in Nevada with IPX 1031 Exchange. The full name is Investment Property, it's right down there, Investment Property Exchange Services, but we're known as IPX 1031. IPX is kind of the gold standard in exchanges. We're a wholly owned subsidiary of Fidelity National Financial. We'll talk about marketing today, 1031 exchanges. I always think I come with a unique perspective. I'm a recovering broker turned tax nerd. So we've been, I know, we have to laugh, it's tax code. I'm kind of snarky because I don't have a sense of humor. But the point there is that I've been in your shoes. So I know what it's like, I understand a broader perspective than just coming with this idea of this is 1031 exchanges and this is how they work. So a lot of the examples I use are real life scenarios, right? And real life strategies that I actually talk about with your clients. How many of you have been involved in a 1031 exchange? Okay, awesome. About half of us, a little bit less than half. Anybody doing one right now? No, we're pretty busy. By the way, investors right now, we're driving a little bit more than 30% of the numbers that you see there, right? Investors are a huge percentage of what's happening in the Las Vegas market. So we'll talk about how to tap into them, right? Kind of get you through some basic conversation topics. So when you go on a listing presentation, it's not that deer in the headlights look when they ask you a question, right? And maybe even be inspired to work with Anthony to do some marketing specific to investors. It's a big part of the market to tap into. So this is going to be the most important slide of the day, you guys. It's my phone number. Okay. So I know, and I'm not being sarcastic. When I say 30% of our market is driven by investors, even if you're not marketing to investors or working with them right now, there's an inevitability that you will need a resource. Put me in your phone as 1031. You won't remember my name in a couple weeks, guys. I was making a joke about that earlier. I can remember all these songs from the 80s, but I can't remember what I was watching on YouTube yesterday. But put me on your phone as 1031. That way when you have that need for the resource, you've got me right there at your fingertips, okay? This is my cell number. You can reach out with a call. You can text me anytime you have a question. If you're with a client and they ask you some random investment property tax question or 1031 question, don't hesitate to reach out. I'm a free resource for you. My job is to help you be successful, to help you close transactions, and maybe even market to investors and get multiple transactions. So, how's everybody doing this morning? I'm gonna go back. Did everybody get that on my phone number?
Yep.
I'll tell a joke while you guys are finishing up. You've heard my jokes before, so it's no fun. But I was in Albertsons, and I'm not making this up, you guys. It was one of those really funny moments when we realized what a small community we live in. But I was in Albertsons kind of doing my self-checkout, beep, beep. And from behind me, I hear, hey, 1031 Sarah. I was like, oh, okay, that's some good marketing technique right there. But it's just this idea of creating memorability, you know, this idea of someone you'll remember, 1031. So don't hesitate, put me in there as 10, I'm not offended at all. So I'm going to talk a little bit about IPX to get us started. The 1031 industry is actually unregulated. I'm still amazed after 25 plus years working in the industry that the federal government, the states, they do not have eyes on us, and we are holding money and moving money. And the reason that's important to you as an agent, as a broker, it's about who you refer, right? It's the source of the source. You know, IPX were owned by Fidelity Exchanges are, $1,100. These are minimal cost transactions. And I'm amazed, I will do a consultation, talk to one of your clients, and they'll call me back the next day, and they'll be, hey, there's this dude on the internet. We'll do it for $500. I'm like, I bet there is. So when I say unregulated, I'm talking about anybody out there can go open a 1031 company and say, hey, refer me business and let me hold your client's money. And think about how important that is, right? For a lot of these folks, this is their life savings, right? This is what they're gonna live off of. So when we talk about being the source of the source, the quality of the company really matters. I say right now, AI is definitely coming. We all deal with the questions that come there first. So we all have a lot of downward pressure, as I like to think about it, with any kind of profession. So the idea is continuing improving our values.
Sarah, can I add something here?
Of course.
So, several years, probably 10, 15 years ago now, there was a 1031 company in town,
Oh, yes.
and you know this.
I know.
Yes. And basically, as she says, it's unregulated. So the owner of the company basically embezzled all the funds that were in there and used it for his or her, I don't remember,
$110
personal.
million. They left.
Yeah.
I think they left the country, is my understanding.
They got caught at some point.
I think one of them did. I think one of them, yeah, yes.
So use a big company.
Yes,
Yeah.
incredibly impactful.
Yeah.
Southwest Exchange is who that was.
Yep.
And you're so right, because when I say nobody's watching us and we are holding money, that money was moved in a lot of different layers. Nobody's watching,
Yeah.
right? So it matters who you refer when a client's doing a 1031 exchange, right? So just keep that in mind. IPX, we're a wholly owned subsidiary of Fidelity National Financial. Braggily, I think of us as the gold standard, the most secure, and the most professional, right? We have I think we have 28 attorneys on staff now. We just keep them in a dark room for the really complicated stuff. So, and what I thought I would do today, I'm gonna do just a quick overview. I'm gonna touch on highlights about what's driving our market. We're gonna talk about specific strategies with these investors exchanging, buying future primary homes, what's coming out of California into the investor market. And then I'm gonna build on that with a little bit more complexity. I'm gonna talk a little bit about reverse 1031 exchanges, okay? A lot of you that have learned about 1031 exchanges or done 1031 transactions in the past are familiar with this kind of forward-moving process. They sell property A and they buy property B. And I'm gonna open that door a little bit into a lot of different strategies, right? Where you can sell the client the replacement property first, okay? And just powerful ways to approach exchanges that are a little bit more than that straightforward linear idea, okay? And it's about the conversation, guys. I'm good at getting the questions out of you, so don't hesitate. The conversation is what makes it memorable, right? And as we talk about real life scenarios. So this is just a little bit of a refresher, okay? So we're gonna talk about what's driving our market out of California, what those investors are doing and what they're looking for here. We're gonna talk about DSTs. When I say Delaware Statutory Trust, is that ringing a bell for anybody or something a client mentioned? No? Yay! Okay. I'm gonna break down a big barrier there. There are financial products now that are actually sold as real estate, okay? And your investors, I know, my love, I know, it's a crossover. It's security sold as real estate, and these are incredibly popular with investors. And it's something to know that's out there, okay? And how to tap into getting the listing for those clients that are looking for something beyond being a standard landlord, okay? I see your wheels turning too, I like it. Have you worked on exchanges before?
Yes.
Okay, just one?
One.
One? Was it a forward-moving process?
It was long. Yeah, it was like 10 years ago.
Okay, was it your own or was it a client's?
Client.
Your client, was it here or California?
Here.
Okay, we're gonna talk about California. I thought because you mentioned being in California, that maybe you were licensed in both places. So we're gonna talk about what does and does not qualify. A lot of the conversations I have when your clients call me is I'm saying, how have you utilized this property over the last 2 years, okay? And we're gonna kind of talk about that, people that convert primaries, and how we determine what qualifies for 1031 treatment. And I'm kind of foundationally, I'm talking about the difference between flipping and investors, right? There's a difference in a business model between someone who's flipping real estate and someone who's a landlord, who's actually buying and holding real estate as a landlord. Does that make sense, guys? That those are different business models. They're treated differently from a taxation standpoint. We'll talk about acquiring the future, converting their primary home, these kind of tied together. Real estate can be converted and used in multiple ways, okay? And then we'll talk about some pitfalls and mistakes people make, reverse 1031 exchanges, and really how to grow your business, how to tap into what's happening out there with investors. Any questions before I get started? No? More coffee? I know, it's really not this boring, guys, I promise you, okay?
I have a question.
Yes.
Yeah, can we open exchange company and take money and leave the country?
Sure, go ahead, absolutely. I mean,
Sure. Behave yourself.
You're on
You know what's
camera.
funny about
She gave me
that?
great idea, you know.
You know what's really funny about that? I had a broker call me just yesterday or day before, and he goes, I heard you opened your own company. I said, no, I'm still with RPX. So, but it's just this idea, we build a reputation, right, in real estate. It's a small world, and so I think someone had just connected with, intermediary. So maybe I'll do it before you. But sure.
Maybe you guys can partner up together.
Exactly. Well, you know what's amazing about that? When someone I always want to know who's out there doing it for $500, and then I Google them, and I'm like, there's literally not one insurance policy on their website, and people just are so unaware, right? I remind agents all the time, we are dealing with lay people, right? Our clients are not professionals. They don't understand the escrow process. They don't understand selling and buying real estate. Our job is to guide them through these processes and help them be successful. And that's really how I think about exchanges as well. So I'm going to talk a little bit about what's happening in 2026. So fluctuating, was it Dave that was here, your lender? Was it Dave? Was that his name? Oh, John, I'm so sorry. So John already hit on this, fluctuating interest rates. Fidelity is not predicting a giant drop in interest rates after a Fed change as well. Again, not healthy for the market. So we're going to see some fluctuations, but not gigantic changes. That's what we're predicting as well. So we're kind of all on the same page there. We're going to talk about passive income solutions. And when I say that, I'm talking about the DST market. I'm going to talk about long-term planning, reverse exchanges, raw land. This is something that you can tap into right now. When we talk about the idea, who's heard the term like kind applied to 1031 exchanges? Okay, yay. I still answer the like kind question every day of my life, almost every day. It's gotten a little bit better, but there's confusion. This idea, I remember when I was a fresh broker, selling real estate in Hawaii, living the dream, you guys. I know, all the Californians were buying real estate in Hawaii as well then. And so I remember when I heard the term like kind and my first client doing a 1031 exchange, and I thought to myself, that's so easy. Of course that means a single family home for a single family home. And that is not at all what that definition means. And there's still a base of confusion about the idea of what is like kind. It's all real estate held for any other real estate, and that includes land. A lot of folks holding land and sitting a lot of equity on raw land here in Clark County, they don't know that they can sell that property and exchange it and buy an income producing property. That's an immediate part of the market that you can tap into with your title rep, right? And start sending out that really quick message, did you know? Okay? And a lot of Californians, right? And of course a lot of vacation home here. Everybody still with me? Okay. Okay. Yay, okay, I know. I try to like, usually, sometimes the conversations with your clients, because they ask this and this and this, I'm like, let's rein it in with just basic information. But I'm gonna start with the foundation of what is a 1031 exchange. I know a lot of you have worked on 1031 exchanges before, but there's a foundational idea of what an exchange is. In a nutshell, a 1031 exchange is a tax benefit. It's a tax benefit process that allows your client, let's say it's the mom and pop that have that little rental property on the corner, right? Allow them to sell that property, defer all of the taxation associated with that sale of real estate. So now they're building and they're reinvesting 100% of their equity, okay? Not after tax equity. And there's a really big difference there. I'm gonna talk about the layers of taxation, but it's this idea, if I'm able to build and sit on a lot of equity and I can sell that property and defer my taxation and leverage all that equity, maybe I'm gonna sell 1 and buy 2, right? Maybe I'm gonna sell 1 and buy 12. I saw that transaction last year, okay? Leveraging equity. Some mom and pop investors, they do just the 1 for 1, right? But the idea is, this is about wealth building. This is what excited me about 1031 exchanges. Deterred me from selling real estate in Hawaii. I don't know what happened there. Now that I say it out loud, it doesn't make much sense, but it was very inspiring to understand and learn how people were building generational wealth through real estate. I've seen people go through a lifetime of real estate transactions and never pay $1 in taxation. It's about utilizing these codes, understanding the benefits, and how to build wealth. And I'm talking about kind of generational wealth 101. I'm talking about the step up in basis. Is that a term you guys are familiar with, or you've heard in your own planning or your clients talk about? Only one person? 1, 2, yay! Okay, 2, okay. So we're gonna talk about what this means, what generational wealth through real estate actually looks like. There's a lot of discussion about generational wealth in this country right now, and most of us, myself included, we come from a whole lot of nothing, right? We don't come from families that built generational wealth. We don't have an understanding kind of at a surface of what I'm talking about. We're gonna dig into that a little bit today, right? But the wealthiest families in this country, they have generated wealth through real estate and through passing on assets with that step up in basis, okay? I'm gonna explain all that as we go on. Questions before I get started? Yes?
How many homes would you, like minimum require a client, or you would tell a client that they should consider a 1031 exchange? 5?
No. It's really a lot of clients that we work with only own one property, right? But it's really about timing and what their personal goal is. So right now, I'm very busy. And the reason I'm busy right now in Clark County is that your clients are sitting on a lot of equity, right? If we think about home prices, almost doubling, tell me if almost doubling in a 6-year period, we could say? I mean, really. So when I talk about equity, and I talk about that mom and pop landlord, I'm talking about someone whose real estate value has doubled in a very short period of time. And they're sitting on a tremendous amount of equity, right? So it really depends on timing, how long they've held the property, and what their personal goal is, right? Not everybody has a goal to build, okay? Some people just want long-term income, but we'll apply different there. But no, there's really no number there, right? It's about their intent and what they want to accomplish. So this is just a quick overview of what a 1031 exchange looks like. I often describe us working at the escrow level, okay? I'm gonna continue, I'm not trying to pick on you, but you've done an exchange before, and I'm gonna use this example about the mom and pop having a little rental property on the corner, okay? And I'm just gonna kind of outline what the exchange process looks like, and then we're gonna talk about the layers of taxation and the 1031 rules that actually apply, okay? So when we think about, let's say you go list that little rental property on the corner, right? And it's their investment property. You're going to list the property. You know, we want to do a consultation around the time you're listing the property. That's when your clients are going to have questions about a 1031. I suggest agents say, have you considered a 1031? I have a good resource. And the reason, I know that's a little scary, guys, we're not providing tax advice, I totally get that. But the idea is about being proactive when you know your client's going to have a tax liability associated with that piece of real estate, and they have an option, and you potentially have a second transaction, okay? And the other reason I often suggest this is, we're talking about, sorry guys, I seem to be on a spam list lately. I know.
Yeah.
I know. And the other reason for that is that if you're not proactive, let's say you go on that listing presentation and you know it's a rental property, you never say 1031, they don't know about 1031. I assure you they are gonna call me about a week after the closing. And they are so mad. Like the spit, I can hear it hitting the phone. And they're not mad at me, they're mad at you. And the reason they're mad at you is because you didn't offer them some referral, right? It's not tax advice to say, have you explored this? So the idea is be proactive, even if you're gonna market after investors or you just kind of by chance have that transaction, okay? Everybody, does that make sense, guys, right? So when I say we work at the escrow level, you would go get that listing, yay, congratulations, right? Hopefully refer your 1031 company. I'll do a consultation, make sure the client qualifies for an exchange, that they understand what the rules and the benefits are, and then you're gonna market that property as if I don't exist. We call ourselves a neutral third party, okay? You're gonna list the property, you're gonna get it in escrow. Once the property is in escrow, that's when an exchange has to be opened, okay? Or should be opened, forgive me. The documents must be signed and the exchange has to be in place before the close of escrow, okay? This is a very common mistake, right? Nobody double checks. ChatGPT is terrible, by the way, oh my gosh. It's actually creating a lot of job security for me. It's so bad at providing technical information. Anybody tried to get really technical information out of ChatGPT? It's horrific. We've had it misguide people and cost them hundreds of thousands of dollars, right? Because they don't have the conversation about the nuance. So it's just not very good yet at answering very technical scenarios. So the exchange has to be in place before the close of escrow. Yes, ma'am.
So you have to be contact when, if I got a buyer, when I use the 1031, you have to be contact in the process before or in escrow?
Well, that buyer would have to sell something, right? So an exchange is selling and buying.
Okay.
So they only need one, that's a really good question, and this question comes up all the time. They only need one exchange company, okay? But they hire the exchange company before the close of escrow of the property they're selling, okay? So when you say you have a buyer doing a 1031,
Yeah, because, okay, this example is my mother-in-law. She lives in Prescott, Arizona.
okay,
So she's sitting in $750,000 house,
not her primary home, right?
Is that primary?
That's not what we're talking about.
Okay.
We're talking about, excuse me, we're talking about investment property. We're talking about the rental property on the corner. Well, we're gonna talk about the 121 exemption, and I will combine it, but I'm not talking about anything about a primary home right now, okay? So she's sitting in a primary home, she lives full-time?
Well, my father passed away, so she had to move.
Did she rent it out after she moved?
No, I'm trying to sell the house,
Oh, good, okay.
so I can move her closer to me,
Yeah.
Laughlin. From Arizona to Nevada is no big deal. 1031
Well,
is
she's
1031.
not gonna do a 1031 because she doesn't need a 1031. She's not selling investment property. Remember, she's selling a primary home,
Oh,
right?
okay.
And what's the rule on the exemption when your clients sell a primary home? When they live there 2 out of the last 5 years?
$250.
Exactly. So the exemption is $250, but her husband passed away within the last 2 years, is that accurate? So, and I'm just answering the question, guys.
Yeah.
We're off topic, but I wanna answer the question. She actually retains the exemption to the full 500,000. She retains that for 2 years after her spouse passes away, okay? So, and that's an important kind of little nugget there, guys. When you go on a listing presentation and it's Mama Bear, and her husband passed away, and within a couple of years, you get to be a little bit of a hero there, right? Hey, you're not gonna get taxed, you didn't lose 250,000 of tax exemption. So when she sells the property, right, and we're gonna talk about the basis in a minute, right? But when she sells the property, okay, she's gonna get a 1099 from the title company. When she files her taxes, her CPA is going to apply the exemption. He's gonna say, no, IRS, she lived there 2 out of the last 5 years, 500,000 of the gain that she made is exempt from taxation, okay? If she has gain above the 500, and this is when I say a lot of equity in Clark County, I get the question all the time from people that go, oh, my client is over the limits on that equity, is there any additional benefit? And there is not, okay? So if her gain is 600,000, she has 500,000 exempt and she'd be taxed on the 100,000. Does that make sense, guys? We kind of went sideways, but that's an important little bit of information because your clients all worry about taxation, right? And we know I'm not a CPA, that's what I tell your clients all the time. I have an in-depth knowledge base, but I'm passing on factual, specific code, documented information. I'm not giving my personal advice. But that she's not in a bad situation. Yeah, so she doesn't need me. Did you have a question?
No,
No.
but yes and no. But,
Okay.
regarding to
next.
what kind of document, what's the name of the agreement that you prepare at the title before it's transferred?
I love that question. So we call it an exchange agreement. And essentially it's just like your listing agreement, it's essentially your client hiring IPX as their intermediary, right? Agreeing that we're going to represent them. And part of our documentation that sometimes throws agents when they see it, and I want to remind you, we are talking about taxation documents. We're assigning into the contract, okay? And that sounds scary when you're an agent. You go, oh my God, that QI just assigned in. That's a very normal part of the process because we are representing them as the intermediary and must be a party to the contract.
The buyer also have to sign that agreement.
The buyer has to sign what we call the notice of assignment, right? So that buyer needs to understand that that seller doing an exchange assigned the deal through an intermediary. But that's an internal process. When I say we work at the escrow level, right, that's what I mean. You're a professional at selling real estate. We're going to open the exchange, issue those documents, and work at the escrow level. And the reason that's important is at the close of escrow, that money from the closing is going to be transferred to IPX, okay? We're gonna be holding that client's money while they're in the process of finding the property they're going to buy during what we call the identification period, okay? I know that was a lot of information, guys, but I think that connected some dots. Was that helpful?
Yes,
Yeah.
thank you.
Yeah, that notice of assignment, the assignment, sometimes I'll have an agent kind of send me a screenshot and go, oh my God, nope, we're good, it's normal, okay. This is an internal legal part of the process required by the IRS, okay? So we're holding their money until they are ready to purchase the replacement property, okay? I see your wheels still turning.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, I have a
I'm
question.
good at that. I warned you guys that I was good at that. Yes.
Yes, I have a question.
Yes.
During that time, identification property, let's say they found 3 properties,
Mm-hmm.
but after that period, they wanna buy other house. Can they buy another house?
Are we past day 45?
Yes.
May I use a technical term? I was raised by a Marine. Okay. They are SOL. Okay, that might not translate.
Yeah.
They are unable to make changes to the identification after day 45.
Yeah, that's important.
Okay.
No, that's very important question.
It's a very important question, and your clients start with a mindset of failure. I'm so sorry, but they do. They call me, we're gonna dive into the identification, okay? But when your clients call me, they are never worried about you selling the rental property on the corner. They've got that dialed in. They've already got it listed with you. They love you. They want to work with you. What they are worried about is exactly what you're talking about. What if I fail on the buy side? Okay? Because if we think this through, the minute they sell real estate, the minute I'm holding their money, if they're not successful on the buy side, they're going to pay a big tax bill. Okay, so it's pressure. We're going to talk about strategies to not let the clock tick without getting ahead of it. Okay, it's about being proactive. Everybody still with me? Okay. Remember my phone number? Okay. Most important slide of the day is my phone number. Call me. You know, I was saying
It's 1031 Sara.
Exactly. You know, I was saying this earlier. We were chatting before the class. The code, the IRS code is a small box, okay? This is what the code says. Your client's scenarios, your client's goals, what they are trying to accomplish, they're all unique to that individual. And how they fit in that code and the strategies we use available to them are how we help them be successful. And how we help you get multiple transactions, right guys? So, in exchanges, I mentioned the 1-for-1, right? A lot of clients do 1-for-1.
One quick question.
Of course.
That 45 days is, let's say you find property for the replacement, but it takes 30 days in escrow. Does count, or the 45 is from the sale to enter into contract of purchase?
So, it's a full period of 180 days. So, I'm gonna go back.
Oh, so
And we're gonna,
and
I have a slide that's gonna be very detailed, but that's a very important question because I might have missed pointing that out. And I forget that not everybody has done exchanges. So let me clarify. The exchange period as a whole is 180 days. So 6 months to accomplish what they are going to buy. But the first 45 days of the 180 is what we call the identification period. So they have to find it, hopefully be an escrow, not necessary, but hopefully they're finding it by day 45. Day 45 is kind of a tipping point, right? Because if they didn't find something, this is the mindset I get right now from investors, guys. They're not sure they have much confidence in the replacement property market, and I don't know why. I think there's a lot of great deals out there. But they call me and they kind of go, I don't know if I want to buy something, okay? And what I say to them, I'm a good salesperson too, guys, okay? What I say to them is, no problem. Let me hold your money while you think about it, okay? You don't have to decide right here what you're gonna do. The 45 days, the way I describe it to your clients, it's a cooling off period. They've just gone through real estate, they're tired, they're exhausted, okay? They've just been given stuff away is what they feel like, right? So the idea is they take a step back, okay? I'm gonna think about what I want to do, but I'm using my 45-day window. And when I said they'd let me hold their money, it's because they open an exchange, they let the money come to IPX. Now they have 45 days to decide what they would like to do, okay? At day 45, let's say they don't find something to buy, okay? They've lost all confidence, right? They just choose to not identify. They tell us, hey Sarah, I'm not gonna identify, I'm not going to buy something. I say, no problem. Your money is gonna go back to you on day 46. Okay, I held their money for 45 days. That gives you 6 weeks to go sell them a piece of real estate, guys. I'm not completely selfish, okay? I want them out there with money sitting in exchange and with the mindset of I'm gonna go buy a replacement property. You sell them real estate, I hold their money. Does it kind of make sense? Okay, right? So a lot of them right now are kind of deciding what they're gonna do in the 45-day period. okay? So once you identify though, you are locked into the transaction until day 180.
What happens if they enter the contract on the day 43, and then they're buying a property that also is on 1031 exchange, and it takes longer? Let's say they inspect the property, they have to cancel, buy another one, and it, you know.
That has to happen within the first 45 days. And I understand your mindset, but I want to clarify something. These are investors. Their concern is moving money. They are not buying a primary home. They have a weight on their shoulders, which is a $100,000 tax bill. And I can assure you they are highly motivated. They are much more motivated than your primary buyer who's willy-nilly, maybe I'm gonna buy, let's go find out what side of the house the bedroom is on. So their mindset is different. I understand your stress and the pressure of 45 days, but this client is gonna be highly motivated to have you find them something to buy, okay? We have to keep the context in mind of the type of client that you're dealing with. Yes.
All right, so two-part question. What is the actual process of identifying? Is there forms that they need to fill out and send to you saying, hey, we've identified this property and is it beneficial to, if they want to buy one home, to identify 3 or 4, or if they want to buy 5 homes, to identify 10 homes, just in case?
I love the question. So let's talk about all that, because there's a long answer here. So there's different identification rules, okay? So one of the first questions that I ask your client when I'm doing a consultation is, what is your goal, okay? And if the client says to me, I'm selling 1 and I'm going to buy 5, okay? I'm not talking about the 3 property rule anymore, because now we're talking about a separate rule, okay? But I'm gonna back up and I wanna talk about the process and then we'll talk about those rules, okay? I just realized I need to answer those questions in order. So the process looks like this, guys. At the close of escrow here, okay? So let's imagine this is March 1st, okay? At the close of escrow, the funds are wired directly to IPX, and that's when I get paid, by the way. I work like you. I get paid after the closing, okay? So the escrow closes as it normally would. We send the instruction to escrow to wire those funds directly to IPX. That posts in our system within a 24-hour window. Then they get a letter from us that says, congratulations on the closing. We're holding $500,000 in proceeds. We have been paid. This is your 45-day deadline. We are calculating and putting in writing. Here's your 45-day deadline, and here's your 180-day deadline. And attached to that letter is their identification form, okay? I don't want to hear from them right away, okay? And the reason for that is this is a real life scenario, right? We haven't talked about getting them under contract before this ticking clock. That's the key to all of this, but I'm just gonna play the straight line, okay? Close of escrow, they've got the letter, they've got the identification form. We also give them this information here. Commonly asked, basic identification questions. Okay, this is a really important piece of paper. And I use this piece of paper all the time because this is gonna go into the answer to your question about identifying more than 3, okay? Was that clear on the process though about the letter?
Absolutely.
We want them to fill out the identification form after, hopefully they've got something in escrow and it's through the initial contingency period. We don't want the client to fill out that form the minute they go under contract because of exactly what you just said. They could go through the inspection and they're starting that wheel all over again a few days later, right? So don't worry about the documentation the minute you're going under contract. We want the documentation, at day 45. Okay, does that make sense, guys? Because at day 45, we know what they're going to do. You know what they're going to do at day 45, right? They're either not going to buy, they're either under contract, maybe they're gonna buy 3, maybe they're gonna buy 5. Everybody still with me on this? We're talking about strategies and different approaches, okay? So at day 45, if we haven't already closed on the purchase, I'm gonna go back to this idea of the mindset. These are people that are moving money, and they're moving money quickly. They don't want me to hold their money for very long. They want to be successful in this process. We close a lot of transactions on what they're gonna buy within the 45-day period. Okay? Does that make sense, guys? Okay? So when we get to day 45, if they haven't closed on what they are going to buy already, we are going to say, and by the way, we are constantly communicating with them. They get multiple, we're guiding them through the 1031 process. You guys are selling them real estate, right? We are constantly reminding them, hey, your day 45 is coming up, your day 45 is coming up, this is what we need if you decide to buy something. So at day 45, okay, they're making a decision. Now they're going to identify, okay? Now they have to choose which rule they're going to apply, okay? I know, guys, just remember my phone number, my phone number, okay? When I started kind of out of order, when I said it depends on what their goal is, okay? Because these are mathematical equations, okay? So if a client calls me and they say, I'm selling one and I'm gonna buy one, okay? Let's go right here. So if the client calls and they say, I'm selling one, I'm buying one, they can only utilize the 3-property rule. They do not have an alternative available to them, okay? And the reason for that is the 3-property rule says they can identify 3 properties regardless of value, okay? So that means I sell for $1 million, I can identify 3 properties that are all $3 million each, it doesn't matter, okay? Everybody still with me on that? So 3-property rule, but it depends on what they're wanting to accomplish, okay? If the client says, I'm going to sell 1, and I'm going to buy 5, okay? Now we know they're not utilizing the 3-property rule. They're utilizing what's called the 200% rule. Remember, guys, I'm gonna guide your clients through this. This is not for you to memorize my phone number, and I will guide them through this. I love a good conference call, okay, with the agent. So we know if they say, I'm gonna buy 5, we're not able to utilize the 3-property rule because they're going to identify 5, okay? But now this rule says, we gave you the easy way. We gave you the 3-property rule and you wanna get fancy. And if you are going to identify more than 3, there is a ceiling of 200%, mathematical attached to what you sell. So now, if you sell for $1 million and you identify 5, and these are all $1 million each, you have broken the ceiling of 200%, right? 200% would be 2 million, right? So these clients are choosing to apply and exceed 200%. But once they choose to exceed 200%, now there's something called 95% accept. We're getting into the weeds of it, guys, because this is a complex question. But it's an important question if you're gonna deal with clients who are doing big diversifications, right? Again, conference call is always a good one. But if we exceed if we exceed 3 and we exceed 200%, now they have to purchase 95% of all of it, or the entire thing is trash. So there's layers on the way those rules are applied. So one of my first questions to your clients, when you guys, Mom's great for the referral, but if your client calls me and says, oh, I'm gonna do a 1031 exchange, one of my first questions to them is, what is your goal? What are you wanting to accomplish, okay? And so I'm determining how to present the rules depending on what the client is wanting to accomplish through the exchange. Does that kind of make sense, guys? We got into the weeds a little bit, we got ahead of the slide, but I didn't want to not answer the question, okay? So I can diversify, I can consolidate. When we talk about the reverse, this is where this gets really, really powerful, okay? Most agents call me and they're super stressed. They're like, oh my God.
This would be more stressful for us.
Was it? Exactly. And they go, oh, my client wants to sell 3 and buy 1. And in your mind, you're exactly right. How are you gonna sell 3, get a cohesive time frame going, and consolidate money into one? And you can combine a forward exchange with a reverse exchange. I have all the solutions to help you be successful. But I start with the conversation at a foundational level. What do you want to accomplish? Now I can present tools to help you be successful in that, okay?
So if you're selling,
I'm gonna-
if they're selling 3, and each one is 500,000, then they can only buy 1.5?
They can buy whatever they want to buy. They could do whatever they want to do. What they want to do is how we will guide them through the rules. So, there's no short answers. Are we okay for time? About a half an hour more?
That's fine.
Is that good? Okay. Is everybody good for another 20 minutes or so? Okay, I want to get through the guts of it. This is a really important question though, okay? So, when I say value, let's hold off on this question for 2 minutes. I'm gonna come back to it, but this is a really important idea. Think of an exchange as a file, okay? I could have 2 files. I could sell 2 properties and 2 files and have different math components. And if I do it that way, it gives me kind of a better backup plan. We're gonna talk, are you gonna ask me a complicated question? Because I do it better, so
I don't think it will be
get through.
complicated.
Okay, well, no, go ahead, go ahead.
The first question is really easy. We're talking calendar days, right?
We are talking calendar days, yes.
The second question is, if they have 3 homes to sell, when does the 45 days start?
We're gonna talk about, give me 2 minutes, you guys. I love no, because that's a real life question. That's what your clients are trying to do. Give me 2 minutes, and I will get there. So I kind of talked about this already. We think about exchanges, I think of a scale of complexity, guys, okay? Down here we haven't even scratched the surface, just so you know, okay? We're about, I know, I'm so sorry. We're like this far into this box, okay? But just think of this idea. I just want to open your way of thinking about how exchanges are accomplished. So delayed, forward-moving exchanges, sell and then buy. Then we're going to talk about reverse. We're going up the scale of complexity. When we talk about consolidation, we are going to combine the idea of the forward with the reverse to solve that problem in a couple of different ways, okay? Everybody still with me? Okay, I'm gonna just quickly talk about the layers of taxation so we have a clear picture of what the value is of all the hoops I'm gonna talk about in a minute, okay? I love that you're tracking with me. I can tell you've had a client or 2 do this. So when we talk about taxation on real estate, guys, there are layers of taxation. First and foremost, capital gains tax, right? We all know cap gains, super easy peasy, 15 to 20%, dependent on the client's tax bracket and their filing status. There are 2 components there. What most of us miss is that if your client is in a 20% cap gain bracket, they're also getting hit with net investment income tax. So that's an additional 3.8%, okay? So it's never a client who's a straight capital gain when they have additional layers here. Then we're gonna talk about depreciation recapture, okay? And by the way, guys, this formula, these layers of taxation, these apply to the sale of every single piece of real estate. The reason you don't see them, and the reason your clients don't ever see or understand the formula, is because they're like the majority. I'm so sorry, what was your name? Were your mother-in-law selling?
Rebecca.
Rebecca?
Yeah.
So like Rebecca, with her mother-in-law selling a primary home, her mother-in-law is going to claim the 121 exemption, and that washes all the layers, okay? But they all apply to every piece of real estate out there, okay? So capital gains tax, so depreciation, when you file your taxes every year and you're kind of checking the depreciation box, it's a credit, right? It's an offset credit. That depreciation is a double-edged sword. It reduces the basis. When I say basis, I'm talking about a starting point in all real estate. I'm gonna use this idea of selling $1 million property and somebody who bought it for $500,000, okay? $500,000 is my starting point of my basis, okay? If I depreciate that property for 10 or 15 years, the depreciation actually reduces my basis. It's a double-edged sword. It doesn't have it on the form. It's not like, by the way, every time you check this box, you're reducing the basis, and that's how we are going to recapture part of this depreciation if you don't do an exchange and you don't apply an exemption, okay? Think about a client who has a second home. There's no benefit there. So depreciation, this formula, a basis is a complicated formula. When we think about a basis and we think about taxation, we are taxed from our basis to our gain. Okay, we are taxed from our basis to our gain. In the example I was just using of buying a property for $500,000, maybe I've applied $100,000 in depreciation since I bought the property. So now my basis is $400,000. It's no longer 5. I've reduced it by my, I'm sorry, my hand topper, guys. I've reduced it by my depreciation. When your clients call me and they're selling the rental property on the corner, one of the questions I ask them is, how much did you pay for the property? First I say, how much are you selling for? They always want to tell me that first. I'm selling it for $500. I'm like, sweet. They go, what'd you buy it for? And if they bought it in 2009, I go, oof. Because that means they bought it for $50,000, maybe $50,000. And now they have depreciated that property for a significant period of time. So when your client gives me that formula, my little brain goes, your basis is 0. And if we think of a client, I'm just using an example, guys, I'm just using round numbers. If we think about a client, when you have a listing presentation and their basis is way down here, and you're gonna sell that property for $500,000, they need a tax solution, okay? And they're gonna want to reinvest, okay? Everybody still with me? Smack about California. So here in Nevada, when your clients are selling the rental property on the corner, we can safely estimate 25 to 30% in taxation liability, capital gains, plus depreciation recapture. Your California clients are at about 45%. When I say the market is being driven here out of California, think about that. If I'm selling rental property out of California, and I'm gonna get hit with layers of taxation that accumulate to about 45% of my proceeds or my gain going away to taxation, I am a highly, highly motivated buyer. I'm a highly motivated seller, and I have a broader goal in mind to hold on to my wealth. This is where I'm going with like that idea of motivation. It's all about the liability, right? Everybody still with me? Remember my phone number. Any questions on where we're at so far? I'm gonna come to the other additional questions. Everybody okay? Okay, so California, so when we think about what's driving our market, this is huge out of California. And I'll tell you what they're doing, guys. They are selling that investment property in California. They are exchanging out of California, and they are buying a future primary home here in Nevada. So they're doing an exchange out of California. I'm selling my industrial property, my rental property. I'm relocating my assets to Nevada. I'm deferring all my taxation from my California sale. I'm holding on to 100% of my equity. And now I'm buying property in Nevada. And I can buy something that I can move into in the future. These are very powerful strategies. Do you have a question?
Yes.
Yay!
You can tell.
You know,
Well, I'm not my head of the game, but so I'm reading here that you cannot sell as a partnership. So let's say property is owned by LLC with few different partners, and you sell the property, but there's the main LLC, the property is owned by 3 different partners.
So so what that says is that there's different strategies for partnerships. So vesting, we think about this is a tax process, right? So we are layering your real estate transaction, we are layering tax code on top of it, and then the final step is reporting all of it to the IRS, okay? And the reason that's important context is because I'm going to talk about who the actual taxpayer is, okay? If you have a partnership with 3 partners, that partnership is a separate taxpayer from myself or the other partners as individuals, right? Is that
Yes.
correct? Okay, so that partnership has been reporting the ownership of the property that's being sold. Here's all the income, Mr. IRS. I'm getting to the answer, okay? It's not a short answer because it's a step here. The partnership is filing its own tax return. Hey IRS, our partnership owns XYZ. If the partnership is going to stay intact, certainly the partnership can exchange, okay? That means the partnership sells and the partnership buys, okay? Does that make sense?
Yes.
Continuity of the taxpayer.
This is more
The
like
problem
what
becomes,
what if it's, they wanna separate?
that's what I was just gonna say, the problem becomes when they want to separate. So we're getting into really complicated territory, guys, so bear with me because I wanna answer the question. So now, if we think about that foundation that the partnership had, there's something we call a drop and swap. That means before the close of escrow, the title is going to be deeded from the partnership, dropped down into tenant in common interest between the three partners.
Oh, I see.
It's a problem, it's not good.
Oh, it's not good?
Well, no, because that partner doesn't have any reporting foundation to the IRS. So when I say there's a drop and swap, it's a high risk maneuver. A lot of people push the boundary because they like pushing. People sue the IRS all the time. But the idea is absolutely there's a solution, but if a client's going to use that kind of a solution, I want their CPA on board, okay? This is a partnership. When we talk about, when we're getting into these really complicated ideas, right? And a client pushing the boundary against what we know works with the IRS, I want their CPA in partnership with me. It's a CYA, right guys? I mean, literally the words that, you know, my first broker mentor still ring in my head, document, 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 right? Does this make sense, right? You're gonna push the boundary because of now, remember the LLC was filing, that LLC has the foundation, but now if I own 33% as Sara Remley, and now I'm going to do an exchange, the IRS is going to say, but Sara Remley, you didn't own the property over here, the partnership owned the property, okay? So there are solutions when people get complicated, but they're pushing the boundary, okay?
So is there anything they can do, let's say, before they sell the property?
I mean, you can, what we want to have them deed it out as far ahead as possible, but that still doesn't solve the problem. We still want the client's CPA on board. Generally, the easier solution is, and I live in a dream world, guys, because the problem is when you have this scenario, those three people, their goals have all changed. That's why they are not exchanging together. They are no longer in it to win it as a group. So the problem now becomes, right, we're splitting out, I don't have the foundation, and we probably don't work very well together. Because the solution would be maybe I buy you out and I retain the LLC, right? Or you go through the exchange, and then after the exchange, there's a deeding out, or I should say a payout or a buyout. But let's get back on topic.
Yeah.
Do you have a partnership like that where?
It's actually 15 partners.
Yeah, and are they selling one piece of real estate?
Yeah.
Are they all going their separate ways?
They own different percentage of the property, and yes, they are not gonna be working together.
So when you say they own different percentages of the property, that implies to me that they might be tenants in common. And there's a foundational difference when I'm talking about vesting between a partnership and a tenant in common scenario. If you and I are tenants in common, we own separate interest in the property. You and I, if we're tenants in common, I own 50%, you own 50%. We are not an LLC that holds title to the property as a whole, right? So when you ask me these questions, and when I ask your clients these questions, the details matter. Okay, the devil is in the details. Because we're talking about a partnership, but they might not even have a partnership. Because remember, these are lay people. They don't understand the difference when they look at a title report. And so we would want to maybe have a call together right? And look at the title report and understand where the vesting is. If they're tenants in common, easy peasy. If everyone in this room owned 5% of a piece of real estate, right, as tenants in common, we could sell that property and we could do whatever we want with our 5% proceeds, right? I know, guys. My phone number. Is it kind of coming together, the pieces as we talk about it, the why, the what they can accomplish? The step up in basis, guys, when I talk about generational wealth, that idea I just used of a basis, right? When I die, is there anybody in here young enough to be my daughter? Oh gosh, okay. So, oh yes, okay, hello. What's your name?
Sheila.
Hi Sheila. So I'm gonna play a little game with Sheila. We're gonna talk about generational wealth. And I'm gonna explain what I mean by the step up in basis, okay? A minute ago I was using an example, just round numbers, where I had a basis of 500. I had used depreciation, but I'm gonna use a round number. My basis in that piece of real estate is $500,000, okay? If I sell that piece of real estate today for $1 million, I have a taxable gain of $500,000. Would you all agree with me on that? Okay. When I die and Sheila inherits my piece of real estate, her basis becomes the market value the day she inherits that property. This is generational wealth 101. So I die and that property, the market value is $1 million. Her basis is now $1 million, okay? With me? Step up in basis, generational wealth. I just handed her a piece of real estate with a huge amount of equity in it that she can sell right away with zero tax liability. So, and she's gonna do that. Why would she not, right? Exactly. I had an old guy in my neighborhood. Oh, one of my friends, his kids inherited the property, they sold it, and I was like, as they should. They don't want that old guy's 20 pieces of real estate that are barely functional. I'm gonna hold on to my real estate. I'm going to continue to exchange. We call it swap until you drop, guys. We never suggest clients cash out. We want their money in real estate, reinvesting, kicking that can down the road of tax deferral, building, having equity working for me, right? So when I die, I hold on to all of it. I pass it on. She's gonna sell that piece of real estate for $1 million. She does not have any of her own taxable gain, and she's gonna go do something fun. Or go buy a house, or whatever she wants to do. Does that make sense, Sheila? Does that make sense, guys, when I say the step up in basis?
As long as you have a trust, correct?
Well, even if she goes through probate, she still receives the step up in basis, but
Okay.
yeah, the trust makes it that much easier for her. So we wanna hold in the trust so that that is our instruction to the government to give my property to Sheila. But if I don't, she's still going to inherit it through probate and still receive the step up in basis benefit.
That was, she asked my question.
Oh, okay, okay.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I was thinking like.
The
if that-
vesting is complicated, guys.
If the $500,000 basis was under a living trust,
Yeah, I mean, it doesn't have to be, but absolutely, you know. And the reason I say it doesn't have to be is because a lot of people don't have it together out there, okay? I mean, I know, you guys know, okay? I'm always amazed, people do really big transactions, they don't have a trust. Oh my God, I'm gonna tell a story. I had a California, let's talk smack about California agents. So, I had a client sell a multi-million-dollar piece of real estate here in Nevada, and they were buying the replacement property in the Bay Area. It was like a $2.5 million transaction. The California agent talked the client out of taking title to that piece of real estate in their trust. And it was the craziest thing I'd ever seen, because think about the liability that that agent just created for themselves and the insanity of that. And it was because they just didn't understand, create an addendum and make the actual buyer the trust for Mr. and Mrs. Smith. So we know the right way, but not everybody does it the right way, right? So are we good is everybody good with me? Where are we at on time? So, okay, we've got 10 more minutes. Is that right? 10 minutes till 11? I've got to use every minute. Okay. Any questions? I want to talk about value, and we're going to dive into the identification and real strategy there. Any questions so far? I see your wheels turning still. No? You don't? Okay. You okay on that? Okay. Okay. So when I'm talking about tax deferral, we kind of jumped ahead on the identification rules. I start with a foundation in a conversation with your clients talking about value, okay? I want you to remember the context of what I'm talking about is section 1031. Is it a specific set of rules that apply to the transactions we're talking about? So I always start with your clients with equal or greater in value. Okay, and I'm talking about rules to start with for 100% tax deferral, okay? No boo, okay? Yes, I can take money out, but I'm gonna talk about how to get zero tax out of the transaction. I'm gonna follow 3 rules. 1, I'm going to buy real estate equal or greater in value to what I sell. When I say the word value and I'm applying it to 1031, I am talking about the sales price minus commission minus your escrow fee only. Okay, not transfer tax, none of the other expenses run through escrow. And the reason for this is the IRS guys, they like to categorize things, right? Your commission is a write-off. They should pay you more. They're writing it off, right? Commission is a write-off and the escrow fee is a write-off, okay? Those reduce value. So if I'm selling property for $1 million, maybe my value is, what?
950.
Thank you. I was gonna pay you more, but okay. Okay. Let's say 925. But I'm just talking value, and value is different than proceeds, right? Proceeds is cash. Value is the formula I just outlined. So 1, we start with the idea of you're gonna buy equal or greater in value to what you sell if you want full deferral. And I'm gonna go to the mindset again. These are people that are leveraging all their equity. They are generally buying up in value, okay? Very rarely do people want to dial in on the exact number. 2, I'm going to reinvest all of my proceeds. Proceeds is cash, right, from the sale. So I'm buying equal or greater in value to what I sell. I am reinvesting all of the proceeds from the sale, and I am replacing my debt. That's component number 3. If we think about debt, debt is part of the value, right? If I'm selling property for $1 million, it's worth $1 million. When I say worth, I'm saying value, right? It's worth $1 million whether I have debt or not, right? No, only one person agreed with me. But it's true, okay. It's value. Value includes debt. So when we think about equal or greater, if I have a mortgage on that property for a couple $100,000, but I'm gonna go buy property for $1 million or higher, I'm replacing my debt. I'm replacing the value of my debt. The IRS isn't dictating that you be in debt. We are talking about, I'm so sorry, my fat head right there. We're talking about value as a whole, which includes debt, right? Does that make sense, guys? Kinda? Your clients usually call me and they're confused about proceeds versus value. They call and they start the conversation with, hey Sarah, I'm selling this property and I'm gonna have $300,000 in proceeds, meaning cash, and I wanna go buy something for $300,000. And I say, great, how much are you actually selling the property for? And so I back the conversation up a little bit. Oh, I'm selling it for $5, but I have a little mortgage. I go, oh, so if you're gonna buy for $5, you're gonna replace that mortgage. You're gonna have mortgage or even more debt probably. But I could also replace the debt with my own cash if I wanted, okay? I don't know why I would do that, but I can. Does that make sense, guys? Value for value includes debt, okay? Remember my phone number. Okay, I'm gonna keep making that joke because it really works, guys. And the reason I keep saying that is because you're not gonna remember my name. You're gonna remember some foundation today, hopefully, where you feel a little empowered, a little more comfortable just about the concepts as a whole. But I really want you to call me when your client's like, like
easier to call you.
Yeah, let's give me, and when I say I like the conference call, it's because I really think about my job as helping you be successful. If you're successful, I'm successful. If we have a conference call with your client, we go through the rules, we go through the technical questions. They know that we are a team, right, to help them be successful. And then they're not relying on you to relay information. So we've talked about the identification rules. This slide outlines them in separate categories. So the 45-day identification period, we've got the 3 property rule, the 200% rule, and then the exception for when they are going to break that rule or break that ceiling, right? Any questions on identification?
So you said that they have to fill out the form.
Yes.
They need to be in escrow preferably through the inspection.
Yeah, so that's such a great question. Let's talk about nuance.
So you really have to get moving very quickly.
Absolutely.
You can say you have 45 days to decide, but you don't really.
No.
I mean,
No.
you hold the money for 45 days, but you
Mhm.
don't have 20 days to decide because it's unlikely that you're gonna get through that process, that quickly.
And the key, absolutely, and the key, and you're touching on, when I said a few minutes ago, your clients worry about the buy side. They are not worried about you selling the relinquished property. So the key is to be proactive. I start the majority of exchanges, probably 60 to 70% of exchanges, with both contracts in place. And what that means is, you've hit on it, you have a deep understanding of that 45 days is going to go very quickly. So what we're going to do, we're thinking about the relinquished property, right? Once you put the relinquished property in escrow and through the initial contingency periods, do not hesitate to go write an offer on what they're going to buy. Write a contingent offer that says, hey, we're gonna buy your house 2 days after my house sells. And the reason I'm always bullish about that, these are investors. The majority of them are cash buyers or cash-rich buyers. They have power in the market right now. And when I know it's hard to imagine, but when the seller of that property here is 1031 investor, that seller knows this buyer is under pressure. This buyer needs to move money quickly. It's a double-edged sword, but it makes it attractive to that seller because this buyer, the 1031 buyer, is more likely to perform because they are moving money, right? And because they're avoiding all those layers of taxation. So one idea, we write the contingent offer, we're ahead of the ticking clock, right, when you do that, when you're being proactive. And also, think about that, that's a sale and two deals for you in a close proximity at a time. The other idea is new construction, okay? If you have a client who wants to buy new construction, let's say they want KB homes, okay? You can take them out right now today. Get them under contract on what they want to buy at KB homes. I'm not talking about a reverse yet, guys. I'm not talking about a reverse. I am talking about a strategy to get you multiple sales and help this client be successful. If your investor client comes to you today and says, I want new construction at KB, but it's not ready until June, go write the contract right now. They're gonna put that money, the earnest money deposit, out of their own pocket. And if we think about what you've done, you're gonna play a little bit of a waiting game, right? The contract in and of itself is identification. There's some nuance there when we talk about contract law, but it's not a problem, okay? I don't even have to have the form if I have a contract and they close before day 45. So there's a lot of nuance there. But I'm talking about an idea, take them out to KB, you're gonna create forward moving momentum. If you took them out to KB today and KB said, well, that house is gonna be ready in June, you could be like, sweet, we have 5 months to sell the relinquished property, but I've already solved your problem. We already know what you're going to buy. You're creating forward moving momentum into that purchase at KB Homes. So when we talk about the 45 days, everybody worries about the 45 days. It's no mercy, you guys. It's the IRS. To be quite transparent, they want your client to fail. They're not making it easy for a reason. They're perfectly happy if your client doesn't go buy a replacement property, be like, sure, pay me. So the idea is the IRS isn't making it easy, your client needs to be motivated, and the idea is coming to the table with strategies to help them be successful and be proactive. Was that helpful in kind of getting ahead? Because everybody worries about the 45 days, okay? We've talked about like kind, okay? Non-like kind, I can't buy into a partnership, okay? So I can sell over here through my trust, but I can't buy into a partnership. That's different than a DST, okay? Okay, awesome. So email me, you guys, if you want more information. But yeah, thank you so much. You're welcome.
Thank
You're
you.
welcome.